Why do some people get results in their life faster than others? Like, really think about them. Why is it that two people can have the same goal, the same desire, even access to the same information, and one person actually creates the result, and the other person just keeps trying, or they give up? I think most people think it comes down to discipline or willpower or how badly you want it. And look, sometimes it can come down to those things, but the longer I've done this work, the more research success stories that I've read, and the more that I coach and see this in my own clients, it comes down to something much deeper. And once you see this, you really can't unsee it. And if you stay with me until the very end, I'm going to show you why you keep working so hard for the results in your life and why they don't last. And more importantly, how to change that. So most people are living their life in this order: do, have, be. So it sounds like this. If I do all these right things, if I take all of these actions so that I can get this result, then I will finally be the person. I will finally be happy. I'll finally be a success. I'll finally be wealthy. I'll finally be worthy. And I see this all the time with my clients, especially the ones that are in weight loss, right? They'll say, I just need to get to my goal weight, and then I'll finally be worthy. But they won't actually say those words because they sound too harsh, right? They'll say something like, as soon as I get to my goal weight, then I'll start dating again. Then I'll finally feel like a normal eater, and I'll finally feel like I can do this for the rest of my life if I can just get to my goal weight first. And this completely makes sense as to why we do this. It's logical, it sounds correct. But here's the problem. That order of things does not create lasting change. What ends up happening is they get the result because they do all of those right things, but then they lose the result. And the reason why they lose the result is because they never identified as the person who could maintain it. They never actually became the person. They still have the identity of, I'm still somebody who struggles with food. I don't know if I can keep my weight off for good. I'm not sure if I'm somebody who can keep this up for the rest of their life. So eventually they will return to that identity. This also shows up with money. There are so many studies on lottery winners who've, accumulated massive amounts of money only to lose it within like 5 to 10 years. Some of them even less than that. How do you go from being a multimillionaire to broke again? It's because of identity. They never became the version of themselves believing that they are the person who is wealthy, the person who knows how to hold that money, who's safe with money. So those thoughts that I'm not good with money, or I don't know what I should do with all of this money, created all of those emotions for them: insecurity, fear, anxiety, guilt. And so what they did was they just spent it all. They gave it away. They blew it, right? So their actions followed those emotions and those thoughts that they have about who they are with money. And so identity is imperative. If you want to maintain the result that you're going after in your life, you have to believe you are the person who can uphold that new result, whether it's the healthy body, the good relationship. For me, and what I'm working on right now is, it's, can I uphold the identity of somebody who isn't rushed, who's calm, who's patient, who is relaxed and present all of the time? And so the reversed order that you need is you have to be the person, then you do the actions, and then you have the result. So I know when people first hear this, they're like, how do I be the wealthy person now and my bank account looks like this? How do I actually be that person without having the evidence now? And this is where the real work is, okay? And I'm going to share something with you that I teach my clients in my programs. Because remember, your brain doesn't like this. Your brain is wired to keep you the same. It does not like it when you change the internal thermostat of who you are. It likes what's predictable. It likes what's familiar. So the moment that you start to think differently and act differently, show up in your life around other people differently, your brain's going to offer you thoughts like, this isn't you. You're an imposter. Who do you think you are? And the moment that you act like your old version of yourself, the way that you have been acting, the moment that you do something that falls in line with who you were, your brain's going to call your bluff and see like, see, there you are, yelling at your kids. You're such a bad mom. You're so overwhelmed all the time. Who are you to think that you can be calm, relaxed, patient, present with your kids? And that's where most people stop. They think, well, when my kids are older, then I'll be calm. Then I won't be in such a rush. That's when I'll work on myself. And that's when I'll get the result that I want in my life. And that's the trap. So If you don't understand that, you're always going to believe that those thoughts are true. And they're not. It's just your brain trying to keep you safe. Hey, quick interruption to the episode. I created something for you. It's a guide called The Identity Gap and a short mini training called The Disciplined Mind. I take you through a guided exercise in this training that will help you close the gap from where you are and how you're showing up today to how you would like to show up in the future. This is going to help you understand your patterns better, but more importantly, it's going to help you start changing them in real time. You can grab it in the description or the show notes. All right, back to the episode. What I teach my clients is that identity work has to be a daily practice for you. It has to be a new habit that you get into if you want to make any lasting change in your life. I know that when people hear the terms identity change or change your identity, it feels abstract. So let's bring this into real life. My old identity is being rushed, and I see it in small ways. So for example, last night I'm brushing my teeth and I'm brushing them very aggressively. And I caught myself and I slowed down. But probably 10 minutes later, I started washing my face and doing my skincare routine. And that too, I caught myself rushing. And now because I'm on to myself and because I'm on to my brain, it would be very easy for me to think the thoughts like, there, I've gone and done it again. See, this is just who I am. Just always going to be rushing. There's no hope. But right there, that is where the work and the magic can happen, because it's not just the action, it is the meaning that you give the action. So that's when the opportunity arises for you to interrupt the pattern. Even if you catch yourself being very negative and thinking I'll never change, it's the pattern interrupt right at that moment. And what you want to do is you want to redirect it to what else is true. With my clients who are trying to stop overeating and maintain this identity of a normal eater, when they overeat or they eat off of their plan, immediately when they start this work, their brain is going to go to, I've done it again, might as well, I'll never get this, I'm such a mess. And if they stay there, they reinforce the old identity. That neural pathway gets strengthened. So the new practice is catching it in that moment and then redirecting your thought to what else is true. And this is where it gets really powerful, because every single day, I promise you this is true, you have evidence that you are the calm, relaxed, non-urgent, non-rushed version of you. The problem is that your brain is not looking for it. Your brain is filtering for the old identity. There's actually a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, and its primary function is to filter information. And it filters that information based on what it already believes to be true. So if your identity is, I'm rushed, I don't have time, your brain is constantly scanning for evidence to prove that belief true. And it rejects all of the other examples, the evidence, the truth that you aren't that version of yourself. Fascinating and also unfortunate, because we have to work so much harder to prove our brain wrong. For example, the other day, I was picking up garbage in the back of my car, garbage that my 3 daughters left there. And my brain wanted to totally dismiss the fact that that happened. It didn't want to attach any sort of meaning about me having enough time to go do that act. And that action might seem small to you, and it is, perhaps, but for me and this identity of I have the time for those little things, it's kind of a big deal, because my old thought would have been, I don't have time for this. When that thought is running my life, mess accumulates. And so what my brain would have preferred is that it just dismisses that information because it doesn't fall in line with the track of I don't have enough time. There's not enough time for this. But when I correct my brain and I'm like, hey, look what I did. That's a big deal. I have had a clean van for a couple weeks now. I'm attaching that to my identity of I am calm, I'm not rushed, I have time for these things, okay? Your brain is going to want to dismiss the moments where you have success that proves the new identity that you want to be true. It's going to tell you that those moments don't matter, they don't count. And what you need to remind yourself is that they do matter, because those actions that you took are evidence to who you are becoming. So the real practice becomes daily identity reinforcement. No affirmations, no standing in the mirror, saying a long list of things that you believe about yourself. It is the being, the doing, and then the having. And I'm going to tell you, doing this work on my life with the I don't have time theme, running the show for most of my life, I am seeing such a dramatic change in even just small things like I'm walking slower. I'm sipping my coffee in the morning and taking my time when I wake up. I have time to watch the birds and watch my children play without scrolling my phone. It's definitely subtle, but it's happening. And again, my brain wants to say things like it doesn't count, but that's just an invitation to do the work. You have to decide that it counts because that's how you change who you are. So if you're listening and you're thinking to yourself, like, I want this, I want you to ask yourself, who is it that you want to be? And then start paying attention to how are you already being that person? Give it meaning because that is how you build identity. That is how you get anything that you want. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I want that. I want this change that lasts. And I don't want to keep trying. I don't want to do this on my own. I want to actually become somebody who is different. Then this is the exact work that I do inside of my 10-week For Good Life Accelerator that is in the process of rebranding to the Disciplined Mind Accelerator. You work with me for 10 straight weeks. I'm going to coach you on your mind. You're going to get the accountability and the support. And what we're doing is we're not generating a bunch of discipline because remember, discipline is an emotion that you feel. We're disciplining your thoughts because you need to discipline your thoughts if you want a new result in your life, and especially a result that lasts. And how we get that result that lasts is it has to be a part of your identity because at the end of the day, the results that you have are always a reflection of your thinking and your being. And I would love to walk you home on that journey. All right, if this episode hit, be sure to send it to somebody who you think could benefit from listening to this. Of course, hit subscribe, save, and leave me a comment. Nobody leaves me comments. What the heck? Leave me something. I would love to read your comments if you've enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.